Good morning, folks. It is Saturday morning, and for once, I'm going to get this out on time. So, as promised, we are continuing with the home tube amp project. I've really been trying to figure this out and trying to figure out how to get a wide variety without it being pure modeling, how to get it to sound good, and how to not have it cost a fortune. Because I am not Rob Chapman, I am not Pete Thorne. They don't send me diddly squat. The only way I get stuff to review is if I go buy it, and I'm not enough of one of those guys to buy it and return it just to review it. If I buy it, I'm hoping to keep it, but this one's not going back. I've had it for a week now, a little over, and I'm good. I'm pretty sure that this guy will be sticking around for quite a while. The only reason it wouldn't is the opposite problem that I've had. Does it have enough headroom? And the answer really so far has been yes. So we're going to do a quick demo of I don't even know what to call it. Just decibels and concept. So for example, me talking right here is hitting 75 decibels peak. I mean, and that's with me leaning into it. So I'm kind of angling it so that it's got the speaker, which is across the room from me, and I've got the microphone on the camera on wide angle, so if you pick up my cat complaining that she hasn't been fed yet, she's lying, she just wants more. So nothing crazy. We're running through my Helix into the tweaker. The tweaker is set wherever I left it last night, to give you an idea. I've got a neutral level compressor going and a reverb and a delay. It's a little airy, but it's what I was messing with. If you care, we're not doing a review of the tweaker in terms of what sounds it can give. We're on vintage, British, clean, bright, tight. Okay? I'll mute that so you can hear. So that peaked at 82. Peaked. That was the absolute highest it hit. I mean, if I really hit this, we'll see. Yeah, I managed to get to 83. That's really what the compressor's for. I'm not performing and I'm not recording normally, so the compressor is kind of for me to even things out a little bit, but also it lets me control my transients. I don't jump, and I don't go so quiet that I feel the need to turn it up. I would not feel bad about playing at that level unless somebody was sick, had worked a night shift, something. So we're gonna crank it up. So that is at about 2 o'clock on the dial, and we are getting ambient hum out of the speaker now. I don't know if you can hear that. And we're going to play the same chord. So I don't know what that got to on the recording. Obviously, once this hits YouTube, it's going to be compressed down and all that jazz. 102 on my dB meter here. Now that's 12 feet away, give or take. Yeah, 10 or 12 feet away. So 102 decibels. We're still in the home range there. I mean, that's not super loud. Certainly, it's louder than I play at normally. But a lot of people, that's probably the low end, right? I would consider that the high end of bedroom, but not the high end for home. So we're going to keep going. To do that, we're going to need more gain. So gain, by the way, was only at 11 o'clock, say. We're going to crank that up too. We're going to go up to, we're at 2 o'clock on gain. Master is at 4 o'clock. And we're still on clean, by the way. We're still on clean. So you notice that last chord was still clean, right? So that hit 104. We didn't get a whole lot louder, but I mean, in the room it seemed noticeably louder, but it wasn't crazy. But what we had with the added gain, we started to get some crunch, and I mean, like I said, we were at like 4 o'clock on the volume, so I'm gonna crank the volume all the way and put the gain at noon. Because remember, this is a master volume, so it's controlling the volume more than just the gain is. One of the selling features of this amp for a lot of people is counterintuitive to what it looks like. You can play metal at home, in your bedroom at low volume. Your gain and your volume are almost completely independent of each other. It's pretty cool, actually. But to get louder volume, you do need to keep adding some gain at some point. I mean, you're not going to peak out without using the gain. Anyway. This is maxed out for gain, or for volume, which puts it at like 5 o'clock. We're going to leave the gain. We'll leave the gain at noon just to see. I haven't actually tried this. So we're getting some breakup just from the volume. But that's 104. Yeah, so the breakup we're getting is actually power tube distortion, not gain, because I turned the gain down, didn't change much. Just for an experiment, because I did notice some volume differences when I was messing around, I'm going to change to modern, and I'm going to go to hot on the gain. I'm not sure we're going to get any more volume out of that, but we'll see. First, gain at noon, master cranked. Modern didn't add any more volume, so we're still at 104. And we'll do... Okay. So I'm assuming you can hear all that in the background. If not, it's really loud fuzz, just from the gain level. I mean, I've got gain maxed here on hot. We're back in British mode. We're still in modern. I'll put it back in vintage. I like that a little better. It's not a huge difference between those two, but I like it a little better. So that's 79 decibels of fuzz, just background hum from the amp. So I'm sure you heard it go all feedbacky there. It is super touchy. But we hit 106 for a brief moment. Now, comparing this to my previous tests, this is not quite at where I was at the door for the other tests. So I'm going to say this is not as loud as my Micro Dark. It's close. it's just a little quieter. I think part of that is that it has a master volume, and they've really with all the controls for changing the voicing. I think that they've given up some of that extra power in exchange for the flexibility. Because I think what happens is if they had maxed it out, you would only have whatever voice was in there. You wouldn't have the room to EQ it, because that's what this does. It just EQs it. It's not like the Black Star where it has multiple sets of tubes. This is one set of tubes and EQ adjustments. So when you flip the switch from vintage to modern, all you did was change the EQ. So 106 is kind of the peak for across the room. And certainly, I mean, a larger bedroom would have enough room to have the speaker this far away. If you tilted the speaker the right way, you wouldn't be aiming it into the house and pissing everybody off. So I could certainly see that volume level being used by somebody at home. In the garage, no problem. I mean, if you beam that, particularly if you don't have somebody directly across the street, or if you close the garage door, no problem. Small, obviously. I mean, it's one of the larger lunchbox amps, but not huge. The 40 is a little bigger, but certainly you'd have more headroom. But just as a quick test, I'm going to put it at what I think is the highest clean that I can get. And keep in mind, we do have compression going. I do have some reverb and delay going, so they're not helping. We're going to leave with vintage. We're going to leave it on Brit. And we're going to turn that gain down a little bit. So that was 102, and I was just, you saw me turn it up a little bit more. That line, it was like 101, and when I got to 102, I started to hear just a little break, like just. I hate to use that phrase. We were right at the edge of breakup, and I mean, if I wasn't playing a chord, you'd be plenty fine. It'd be plenty of room. But for me, that's more than enough volume. I'm not trying to get more out of it. That's plenty. And I think that's the beauty of this. That you can do this. So that was relatively high gain. I didn't max it out or anything. But that was only at 86 decibels. And just here, we're going to go all the way. Here, we're going to go British voicing, hot, gain maxed. How low can we go? We're going to turn off bright. We'll go with the same chord I've been using. So that's scaled all the way down to off. In other words, it's scaled down to me talking, at which point me strumming on the strings was louder than the speaker. And from that point, it was tough to get it any lower without it cutting out. But from there, it smoothed up, or scaled up smoothly to in the 80s easily. And from there, obviously, on. That was all the gain. Treble boosted, mid scooped, bass mid, hot, normal, tight, British. And, you know, you throw a pedal in front of that, and the flexibility of this amp for home use like that is spectacular. And, sorry, I wanted to look at the timer. I don't think you can go wrong. I think if you don't have a particular sound that you're looking for, where that's it, that's the tone you want. Well, if that's the case, go buy that amp, or the closest equivalent you can get that is suitable for home use. So anyway, that's it. Gotta hang on to these. So that's it. I'm going to edit this down. Hopefully we can get it to like a 15-minute video. Take care all. Have fun. Have a great weekend.